What is going on, everybody? It's the Francis man for Unscripted number 84 for you, September 1st, 2019. We are less than 24 hours removed from AEW's All Out, a really great pay-per-view. Was it the best pay-per-view of all time? Of course not. Was it the best pay-per-view of the year? It's up there. I don't think it was the best pay-per-view of the year, but it is definitely one of the top 5 for sure. I would probably take TakeOver New York over this show just because of how great that show was. I'd probably even take TakeOver Phoenix over this show. They did improve over Double or Nothing, Fighter Fest, and Fight for the Fallen, but last night's show was definitely, if you want to check out my thoughts on the show entirely, go check out my review on the channel right now. Raw, SmackDown, NXT also happened this week, as we'll go over those. And this week, of course, is the continuation of the first round of the King of the Ring. As you see here, you have Ricochet, Ricochet and Baron Corbin from Raw move on to the next round, and Chad Gable and Ali in what was a damn good match between Ali and Buddy Murphy on SmackDown, even though I wish it would have went as long as Ricochet and Drew McIntyre did. The thing that sucks about the King of the Ring for the SmackDown side is that they only have a 2-hour show, so their matches could get cut short compared to Raw, where it's 3 hours, so they have a little bit more leeway for their matches. Also on Monday Night Raw, we had the continuation of Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, who are going to be facing each other at King of the Ring. They will defend their tag team titles against the new team of Rudolph, aka Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, which we'll get into why that's happening later on, like why that tag team was forged on a whim. It was a whim. I said it on Monday that Vince McMahon took a dartboard, found and just threw a dart for Dolph Ziggler to team up with somebody, and Bobby Roode's name was the one to pick. And of course, AJ Styles and Braun Strowman faced off again for the United States Championship, and again it ended in screwjob finish, in which AJ kept the championship. Last week, of course, the OC got AJ Styles disqualified. This week, Braun Strowman got disqualified. Are we going to see in the next 2 weeks, or next 3 weeks, whatever it is, we're going to have Braun Strowman beat AJ Styles in a no disqualification match for the U.S. Championship, or are we going to see AJ Styles defend his championship at Clash of Champions against Braun Strowman, having Braun Strowman wrestle 3 matches in one night? I hope it's neither, but it doesn't seem like they have anybody at all prepared for AJ Styles for the United States Championship this month. So it looks like we're going to probably get Braun Strowman versus AJ Styles at Clash of Champions with the United States Championship on the line. Braun will probably win that. They will lose the tag team titles to Rudolph, obviously. That is the most obvious thing they're going to do. And I don't know about Seth Rollins losing the championship to Braun Strowman. I have no idea what we're going to go with there, but it could be champion versus champion one way or another. So, Monday Night Raw, the only positive thing I can say out of Monday Night Raw is that the show did not drag completely for the first time in a very long time. And that's a minor positive in a show that outside of Ricochet and Drew McIntyre was just was not good. Apparently, last week, Vince McMahon wasn't there because of XFL duties. He was there this Monday. There's something that people need to realize. Vince McMahon could be gone. Vince McMahon could be going off to step aside to do XFL duties. He still has a phone. He can call people. He can call Raw or SmackDown, tell them to rip up the script, and rewrite the script over the phone like he did on SmackDown Live this week. Gable and Benjamin was supposed to get 12 minutes of their match this past Tuesday. Instead, they got about 4.5 minutes, which was a crying shame because those two, and just like Buddy Murphy and Ali, that entire show should have been Buddy Murphy and Ali giving you 20 minutes, and Gable and Benjamin giving you about 15-20 minutes as well. giving you two great King of the Ring matches, showing you that the King of the Ring means something. With there being two matches or one match next week, two matches next week, right? Yeah, two matches next week. In which there's two matches next week with Gabriel Andrade, Elias, and Ali, Cedric Alexander, Baron Corbin, Ricochet, and Samoa Joe. All four of those matches need to have at least 10 to 15 minutes to show you that the King of the Ring means a lot more than what WWE really probably cares about it. Give you that feeling that the King of the Ring actually matters, and we know it doesn't. Because quite honestly, if Baron Corbin or anybody wins King of the Ring, they're going to get their 15 minutes in the sun. They'll get to wear the crown, be all gloaty and everything if it's a heel, which most likely will be. And then the very next week, WWE will probably drop the King of the Ring, and that's that. The King of the Ring tournament should be something that is prestigious, something that is important, but to me, it just doesn't feel like WWE is going to find it important enough. SmackDown Live, we had the continuation of Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, who attacked Roman Reigns. They ended the show like they have the last 3 weeks, with something to do with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. I think, and honestly, if you would have cut that segment out, you would have gotten at least another 5 minutes or so with Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. It's just my opinion. Of course, the very last thing you see before Roman Reigns spears Daniel Bryan is the same video we've seen over and over, but instead of them cutting away to another camera, they stay focused on that same camera, and you see a dude get up with a red beard, hood over his head, it's scrunched in so you can't see who it actually is, black hoodie, and he's walking away. Daniel Bryan immediately thinks it's Rowan, slaps him a couple times, tells him to leave, goes out to try and plead with Roman Reigns that he had nothing to do with this. Spear, and that was the end of the show. Backing up a little bit in the show, and Lacey Evans, who we haven't seen since Extreme Rules, gave us one of the most boring matches of this week. Bayley could not save Lacey Evans in this match. Lacey Evans should stay on main event purgatory where she belongs. This is obviously WWE's way of trying to get Lacey Evans back in your mind, so when they finally get the title off of Becky Lynch and get it onto another babyface probably, or they move her over to SmackDown Live, Lacey Evans is going to eventually win the Women's Championship. As long as Becky holds the Raw title, she can't go for the Raw Championship. And Charlotte's going to be facing off against Bayley at Clash of Champions. So I don't know where the hell they're going with this, because Lacey Evans is not going to be winning the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. She came into the women's locker room on SmackDown and said, "I'm the face of the women's locker room, of the women's division." And of course, Bayley and Ember Moon, who were in the locker room at the time, did what each and every one of us would do. They sat there, they laughed at it, and that was that. And I thought that was yep, that's exactly how all of us would react, because Lacey Evans is absolute dog shit. She always has been, she always will be. She didn't do anything in NXT. She will do nothing on the main roster. Just because she's a blind doesn't mean she should get every opportunity under the fucking sun. Also, let's see, SmackDown Live. Oh yeah, Elias got destroyed by... No Shane McMahon this week. Holy shit. SmackDown Live went a week without Shane McMahon. And you want to know something? The show still sucked. Shane McMahon doesn't help any better, but Shane McMahon was not on the show. He was off doing whatever. Elias, and who is his buddy, got beat up by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens hit a stunner on Elias in the middle of the ring and just stares at him, because Elias had the 24/7 championship around his waist still. Took a stunner with the 24/7 championship around his waist, and what happened? Kevin Owens just looks at him, says, "Nah," and walks away. Even Kevin Owens knows, yes, he did have a referee, and a referee probably would have showed up anyway, because it did anyway. Even Kevin Owens knows that championship is worthless. You ain't like, you see guys like these champions, these 24/7 champs walking past, like a Baron Corbin or an AJ Styles or the OC or Kevin Owens or anybody like Roman Reigns or any of these big guys, and these guys don't go after the championship because they know that is a worthless championship. The only thing that you can say about the 24/7 championship is that Cedric Alexander somehow, someway got out of 24/7 championship purgatory a couple months ago. A couple weeks ago by doing the whole janitor thing and helping Roman Reigns, try to help Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. It didn't work in the end, but that got Cedric Alexander where he is today. And now Cedric Alexander is going to be taking on Baron Corbin in the second round of the King of the Ring, hopefully winning, giving us a Ricochet Cedric Alexander match, or Cedric Alexander Samoa Joe match in the semifinals of the tournament. That is wishful thinking, but I don't think they're going to actually go that route. NXT, man oh man, two fantastic. I'd say a fantastic match and a good match. We had Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic 2, which we were supposed to get back on the build towards WrestleMania, but Dijakovic he tore his meniscus in his knee. It was out for months. Keith Lee also got injured for a bit. He came back and has been on a losing streak. But these two big men, holy shit. Match of the week for anything WWE, and this match could have been on a TakeOver. If they wanted to put Keith Lee versus Dijakovic on TakeOver War Games and keep it up till then, I would be fine with that. If they want to go a third round because they've drawn with a double countout and Dijakovic won. If they want to keep going with this rivalry, which I'm sure they're going to, this rivalry's not done. These two are going to probably tear each other apart in a stipulation match next, which probably Keith Lee will win. And on the live versions of NXT, and then we get to War Games, and these two go absolute bananas and kill each other again for the third and final time. I have no idea, but god damn those two. And all I have to say is 600 pounds of flesh going in a Spanish fly. That was absolutely scary. Seeing Keith Lee hit Dijakovic with a Spanish fly, and Keith Lee practically spiking his head on the mat for one, and he didn't win, but that was a hell of a move. That's all you had to tell you about this match. You got Keith Lee getting hit with a Feast Your Eyes, which is the torture rack turned into, it looks like a GTS. He looks like he hits him with a GTS instead of how it usually is done. He flips him forward and kicks him in the head with his knee, or knees him in the head. But hell of a match. We also had the Velveteen Dream. Did the Velveteen Dream ever show up on this one? No, I'm sorry, no. We also had the tag team title match. The tag team title match that WWE spoiled. And one of the biggest positives that's going to come out of them moving to TV and going completely live, which if they wanted to go live every Wednesday, they could still do that on the network and people would still watch. But with them going live, no more spoilers. Everything happens that episode. We don't have to sit there and wait for like a week to 2 to 3 to 4 weeks after tapings are done to find out all of these matches. The tag team title match, you could tell, was the last thing that they taped at the final set of tapings before they go live. The crowd for the Keith Lee Dijakovic match, you're going to go, oh well, the Dijakovic and Keith Lee match would have exhausted the crowd. Yes, but there was time in between for the crowd to get back in it, but they just couldn't. They were absolutely drained of everything that they saw up until that time for NXT. So you could tell that this is something else that's also positive, other than just the spoilers that could happen. The crowd is only going to be seeing 2 hours of NXT a week and not 4. So when we get to that second hour of NXT on USA Network, every single week for as long as they're in Full Sail. The crowd's not going to be dead tired wanting this entire episode to get over. Yeah, they get up for the high spots, but they're not as high and as heavy, and they're not going as crazy as they have been for a majority of the show. Just listen to the crowd for the Dijakovic Keith Lee match, and then watch the main event of that show. The energy in the crowd died way too high. But NXT, again, great show. And next week we have Jordan Miles cashing in and probably most likely losing to Adam Cole in an NXT championship match. I don't see Adam Cole losing the championship, especially to Jordan Miles. It's a damn shame that we had this entire breakout tournament only for the championship contract to be wasted immediately. I don't think they put a timetable on how long Jordan Miles had to be able to turn that contract in. I figured we would have seen Miles wrestle a couple more times, and then he would make his decision after War Games. But no, they're just throwing it out there. Maybe it has something to do with they knew they were going to be going to USA Network, and they knew they were going live to either USA or FS1, but they didn't know at the time, so they just wanted to get the contract out of the way. I have no idea. But for sure, there's just no way Jordan Miles wins going up against Adam Cole. It's a damn shame seeing that just takes away what they did with the entire breakout tournament. But you gotta live with it. Well, SmackDown NXT this week are done and over with. We are going to move on to All Out. As you saw on my review, All Out was just absolutely... It was great. It wasn't perfect. No show is ever perfect. It was the most important show of the year so far. The most important show of the year. People want to say it's All Out. The most important show of the year is October 2nd from Washington, D.C. That show has to be an absolute home run. Absolute home run. No ifs or buts about it. They have to go out there. They have to kill it. They have to give you a great fucking show. A great show for 2 hours. No, there's gonna be hiccups because it's their first live TV outside of a pay-per-view. But we don't want it to look like we don't want the set. First off, another thing. As I said last night in my review, the set needs to be changed. It is absolutely ridiculous that they went and decided, well, we're just going to use the same set for every single fucking show. We criticize, and this is the thing, we all criticize WWE for using the same sets for the last umpteen years for all of their shows. It's been the same set. Since 2016, especially, they've used the same set for both Raw and SmackDown. Now, yeah, Raw and SmackDown for 1 week, from the week after the draft till SummerSlam, they both shows used different sets. But when we got to SummerSlam, the entire, everything for Raw and SmackDown changed, and they all look the same. So, it is time for AEW for the last 4 shows, Double or Nothing, Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, and All Out have used the same set. If we go to TV and this is the same exact set with the double entranceways and the chandelier above, it's going to be a little disappointing. People have already started roasting AEW. It's like, you guys have all this money coming in. You have all this money probably to back you, and you can't even get more. You can't make special sets or anything. I mean, come on. I remember back in the day when Halloween Havoc, Bash at the Beach would have different sets. Starrcade looked different than Halloween Havoc. Everything looked different. WrestleMania is the only thing that gets somewhat of a different set. You had SummerSlam back in the day. Backlash, back when it had the little scythe things that would go back and forth from each other. Armageddon, back in the day, looked like a fucking disaster scene as a set. Even Clash of Champions, not Clash of Champions, but Night of Champions would look like it would look like a coliseum of some sorts. WWE is in this funk of using the same sets for everything. Looks like AEW is going to do the same thing, and I don't want anyone to oh, well, it's AEW, they can do that. No. I wanted to see, and no, poker chips at Double or Nothing and a kiddie pool at Fyter Fest is not saying the sets are different. The sets designs themselves have been the same since they started the pay-per-views. Once is fine, twice is a little overmuch, 3 times is come on, and 4 is ridiculous. Again, if we go to TNT and that's the set that we get again, gonna be very disappointed because I'm in my opinion, pay-per-view and TV show sets should be totally different. They should never look the same. Because if this is the set we get for TNT, then these shows are just going to start getting made fun of and being called, they're just going to be, oh, well, it's just Sunday, it's just Saturday night AEW on TNT or whatever the TV show is going to be called. Change the setup, give me something different so the TV shows and the pay-per-views don't look any different. Come on, AEW, don't you have the freaking capital or the money to even do that? If you don't, then what is the fucking point of having pay-per-views? Moving on to a different show and a different company, but the NWA announces TV tapings and ticket information. Earlier this month, NWA President Billy Corgan announced that promotion would be beginning producing its own TV series out of Atlanta, Georgia. The first tapings will be on September 30th and October 1st. Names expected to be at the first tapings: NWA World Champion Nick Aldis, Camille, NWA National Champion James Storms, NWA World Women's Champion Allison Kay, or Sienna if you know who that is, Eli Drake, and other former NWA champions. The studio wrestling show will be taped at the GPB studio in Atlanta. VIP packages go on sale on September 3rd at 9 a.m., which will give early seating to fans on both days. Exclusive merchandise and meet and greets, these are limited to 100 fans. General admission tickets will go on sale on the same day at 12 p.m., but do not include merchandise or meet and greets. So, NWA, of course, as you were told earlier last month, was that they were going to be doing their own TV show. That's why they ended their relationship with the Ring of Honor, because that has been their partner for the last, I think, 2 years. Now there is no Ring of Honor in NWA. So let's see where this goes. Do I see NWA doing anything special in the world to combat AEW or WWE? No, it's going to be their own thing. Don't sit there and expect NWA to give you the greatest thing out there. Yes, they might have some great shows. They might have some good matches. If you are somebody who wants to see the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, be brought back to prominence, you want this to succeed. I don't really, I'm a fan of James Storm's, been a fan of him since his Impact Wrestling TNA days. Nick Aldis, wasn't a big fan of his because of the way that they booked him in Impact Wrestling. They booked him so piss poorly, gave him the championship, and made him one of the worst heavyweight champions of all time. His time in NWA, of course, has been better, but I still haven't seen him. Allison Kay, Sienna, I only seen really in the Mae Young Classic and maybe a little bit in Impact Wrestling. Eli Drake is Eli Drake. He is not much else you can say about that. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do and see what their roster is. Of course, they are taping. I don't know when those episodes are going to go up or where they're going to go up or what TV they're going to. If it's going to be on YouTube, maybe it's going to be on YouTube. Who the hell knows? We'll have to wait and see. But NWA TV coming to you soon. Where is it going to be on? What channel? What TV? I don't know. Impact Wrestling finally doing something they should have been doing a long time ago. Covering hotel costs for their rosters. Impact Wrestling is now picking up the bill for hotel costs while talent are on the road. According to PW Insider, Impact Wrestling officials told talent back in May they would be working on covering hotel costs as a way to get back to the locker room by absorbing some of the financial burden on being on the road. Impact recently covered hotel costs for talents while they were in Mexico, but talents were still paying for their own hotels for shows in the United States and Canada. That is about to change as hotels will be covered for moving forward, beginning with this week's Impact tapings in Las Vegas. There was it was noted that all signs point to this being a new consistent road policy for Impact Wrestling. That is good. That is something that should been done. I'm pretty sure Impact Wrestling could have been calling into hotels, buying or scheduling in bulk or whatever it's called, or getting a section or a floor of rooms and be getting a discount. It's good to see that Impact Wrestling. The thing about Impact Wrestling is that a lot of men and women can't just survive on Impact Wrestling contracts. They're not making enough. That's why Killer Kross has been wanting his release from Impact Wrestling, which apparently they're at a standstill still because he wants out. Impact Wrestling doesn't want to release him because they know if he gets released, he's going to either be elite, he's going to WWE, and they don't want to lose that. Even though they had Tennille Dashwood in the Battle Royal last night, which of course makes absolutely no sense why they allowed that to happen, but they did. But this is something that should have been done constantly, and it's about time that Impact Wrestling gets with the times. It's like you hear the stories of Killer Kross and others having to go out and still wrestle on independent dates because they cannot afford to just be wrestling in Impact Wrestling. It's not financially sound. Impact Wrestling, of course, has been bad. It has been financially fucked for years because of what Dixie Carter did to the company, how piss poorly she ran that company, and then you drop it off to Anthem, who pretty much I think regretted when getting Impact Wrestling from the moment they signed on the dotted line to buy the company. There was actually reports at one time they were trying to resell the company to somebody else. When Cody Rhodes, Kenny, and Adam Page were all starting in AEW, Anthem actually reached out to them to try and see if they wanted to buy Impact Wrestling and morph it into AEW, which honestly I think would have been a stupid idea if AEW would have went and did that, because Impact Wrestling, that entire company just needs to be dissolved. AEW is becoming the next big brand. That company needs to dissolve because it is stained so badly with the blackness that was Dixie Carter and Vince Russo and Jeff Jarrett and everyone else in between. Yes, Don Callis and them are doing everything they can to make that company actually mean something again, but it is so badly damaged that no matter how good the company is, no matter how good the wrestling is, no matter how good the storylines is, no matter how good all of it is, that company is always going to be a black sheep in the entire wrestling community now because of how poorly mismanaged it was for years and how bad it got. Honestly, with AEW becoming as big as it is, if I was AEW, I would love to buy out a Brian Cage or a Killer Kross contract from Impact Wrestling. I would love to get half the talent that Impact Wrestling has and put them in the All Elite Wrestling roster. I think it would be an awesome thing to do. Kill off Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling can go away. You would have AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE as your big four around in the wrestling world. Now, of course, it would suck because it is a wrestling company, and a lot of people, not just wrestlers, would be losing their jobs. But I'm sure they would be able to go to WWE or Ring of Honor or AEW. All I know is that Impact Wrestling, yeah, people say it's good again. It's better than it ever has been. But most people don't realize that yes, it could be having the best storylines. It could have the best wrestling in the world, and it's just the name Impact Wrestling, which you would have to they would have to do so much. Impact Wrestling needs to lose the name Impact. The thing that Impact Wrestling and management and Anthem does not realize is that Impact Wrestling, just the name itself, is still has ties to the TNA name, because the TNA name used to be TNA Impact, used to be the TV show for TNA Wrestling. You need to change the name to something else completely. No, the Impact name needs to go away. Until you do that, Impact Wrestling is never going to see the prominence that it should. AOP should have returned this past Monday, but they did not. Why? Who knows? But apparently, WWE had talks about bringing the Authors of Pain back to TV on Monday Night Raw. Akam and Razor were said to be on an option from this past Monday's 18 Tag Team Turmoil, which was an absolute joke. Again, WWE has killed 3 things this year, and I don't want to see them for another 2+ years. The 2 out of 3 Falls match. NXT tried to do their best to make that match worthwhile, but it's dead. The elimination match and the gauntlet match. And a tag team turmoil is nothing but a gauntlet match. There's no word yet on why they didn't use them, but officials decided against using them. AOP returned to live event action at SmackDown shows in early July, losing to the team of Ali and Matt Hardy. They had been away for several months while Akam recovered from a knee injury, but they will return to a ring for a Super Showdown in June to compete in the 50-man Battle Royal. Razor did work some WWE main event matches while Akam was out, despite working with the Blue Brand. Both Akam and Razor are still listed on the Raw roster. It is believed that they will not be working with Drake Maverick when they officially return to storylines. Good. The Drake Maverick AEW and AOP storyline dynamic did not fucking work at all. Drake Maverick looked like a joke, even though he's been a joke since they started this whole 24/7 title run. But yeah, that was even worse. It was reported back in late May via John Pollock of Post Wrestling that AOP would likely return to TV when creative had a new program for them. It was also noted that AOP's return had been delayed due to the wildcard rule taking up TV time. So they could be back to, they could be coming back to TV starting next by the end of this coming week. By the time we get to October. More news on changes made to Raw and SmackDown this week as the WWE almost brought back AOP, as we mentioned. Match that crowned Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as new number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. Akam and Razor were originally scheduled to do well in the match, according to Wrestling Observer. Despite the planned strong performance, AOP was set to lose to Roode and Ziggler, but not necessarily in the final part of the match. It was also noted that the Viking Raiders were scheduled to win another squash match on this week's Raw, but the plan would change and they were added to the 8-team turmoil. The King of the Ring tournament match between Miz and winner Baron Corbin was originally scheduled to go about 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes, but it was given more time when the officials decided on pulling the Viking squash match, even though the Viking Raiders squashed B-Team immediately. They already had a squash match. It was the B-Team. Now, yeah, bringing the AOP back for the tag team turmoil would have made absolutely no sense if you would have had them just lose. It would have made no sense to have these guys return to WWE, to the entire product, and have them lose. So having them not come back was probably a really good idea. So that was a good idea. Have them come back and eventually build towards the Viking Raiders versus the AOP. Something that they don't talk about, and I don't get, and the only reason I can say why is because Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit about what we watch when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to tag team wrestling, which, by the way, the outside of the Best Friends in the Dark Order match last night, AEW showed why tag team wrestling is still relevant and why tag team wrestling is still it can draw money, and why tag team wrestling is going to be one of the hot topics of 2020. But the Viking Raiders have not lost a match since they debuted in NXT last year. The Viking Raiders, I don't know what their match winning streak is, but they have not lost a match in almost a year and a half. So why WWE decides not to say anything about it is beyond me, because when Asuka was undefeated, they couldn't shut up about it. But here we are. The Viking Raiders are undefeated, haven't lost a match since they made their debut. And no, going double DQ, I mean, they haven't been pinned or submitted in a match since they made their debut. At least on TV. It might have been during a live event, but those don't count. All the changes were said to be Vince McMahon's call. It was noted earlier in the week via PW Insider that Monday's Raw from the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans was said to be one of the smoothest running shows in several weeks. Besides what was mentioned above, there was said to be very little changes made to the original script. In other news on Vince from this week's WWE TV, the chairman also changed a ton of stuff for SmackDown from Baton Rouge. And word is most of this episode was largely put together by Vince on the day of the show. It was reported Tuesday that Vince was not backstage in Baton Rouge because I guess he was doing some XFL duties. But he had been going over the SmackDown script via the phone with creative officials. It was reported the King of the Ring tournament match between Benjamin and Gable was set for 12 minutes, but that was changed and the match went about 4. You have got to be kidding me. Dude, this is why anybody who thinks that Vince McMahon is giving control to Bischoff and Heyman is going to actually happen is bullshit. Vince McMahon changed the entire script of SmackDown Live. They read the script to him. He said, rip it up, and rewrote the entire script himself over the fucking phone. Why did you hire Eric Bischoff? Why did you hire Paul Heyman to be your executive directors? They are what we all thought they were going to be. They are just a shield, so when the shows are shit, we blame them. Vince, we're not fucking stupid. You stupid, stupid old man. We are not fucking stupid. We know who to blame. We know who's at fault for how bad these shows are going to be. It's your fucking fault, you dumbass motherfucker. Get the hell out of these shows. If they put out a press release that Vince McMahon is going to step down to go focus on the XFL, don't believe that he's going to step down. This proves that he's not going to step down. He wasn't even in Baton Rouge. He's a phone call away from changing the entire script for any show. What has Eric Bischoff done since he has been on the job? Nothing. Nothing. He's going to do nothing. Vince McMahon is apparently building up trust so he can step away. Vince McMahon trusts nobody but himself. Paul Heyman's going to be a yes man who's going to just sit there and just be Vince McMahon's lapdog on Monday Night Raw. Eric Bischoff will be the exact same thing on SmackDown Live. Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn are yes men as it is. They kiss Vince McMahon's ass. They probably kiss it so much that they probably taste what he had for fucking breakfast. These shows will never get exactly what we want. Better shows, better quality wrestling, and just better storylines. We don't want something to start we don't want Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler to start now, and then 2 weeks later it all be dropped just because they felt like it. I don't want to see that. It's no reason for this shit to happen, and Vince McMahon is just making everything worse. Vince McMahon needs to go away and never come back. And here's the thing. If things get bad for WWE and things go off a cliff and they just start losing everything, Vince McMahon is going to be voted out of his company by the board of directors. He will be thrown out. And here's the thing: if that happens, he can't just pick somebody to be his replacement. The board of directors can, and that would be terrible for WWE because if they could pick somebody who doesn't even care about wrestling or WWE. It could be somebody outside of WWE. It could be somebody who doesn't have any WWE or wrestling experience, who would just take the WWE and put it in a new direction and pretty much ruin the entire thing worse than Vince McMahon did. Vince McMahon needs to step down now before it's too late. Until Vince McMahon is gone. Until Vince McMahon is gone, these shows will never get better. And that's a fact. Vince McMahon will continue to ruin these shows. Vince McMahon will still think that his shit's good. Vince McMahon could shit his pants and he'll sit there and laugh about it. That's how bad this is. Vince McMahon, I want Vince McMahon gone from the WWE now. The XFL is going to be a failure. We all know it. You know it. Anybody who thinks it's not going to be a failure is beyond me. But Vince McMahon is not helping the WWE, period. And it's time that somebody in the back stands up and tells this motherfucker that he needs to go. He is the problem. Not the wrestling, not the fans, not the performers, not the crew. It's Vince McMahon. You have 30 plus creators and 2 executive directors who do absolutely nothing but say, yes, sir, yes, Vince McMahon, yes, sir, yes, yes, yes. Oh, that's a great idea, sir. That's a great idea. Oh, it's such good shit. You are such a genius, Vince McMahon. And that's all you're getting. These shows will not get better anytime soon. This week's Raw saw the new team of Roode and Ziggler winning an 18 tag team turmoil and burying the entire tag team division, not just on Raw, but SmackDown Live, because the B team, the Heavy Machinery are both from SmackDown Live. Become number 1 contenders for Raw Tag Team Champions Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Roode and Ziggler will get their title shot at Clash of Champions on September 15th. The 2 team was apparently an idea of Raw Executive Director Paul Heyman. Sure it was. The Wrestling Observer newsletter points to how Heyman is a proponent of Roode and notes that the Raw win was meant to be somewhat of a showcase to get Roode over after he was slotted as a nobody on the card for so long. There's no word yet on what WWE has planned for Roode and Ziggler after Clash, but a title run could happen if the main reason Ziggler, Rollins, and Strowman were given the titles was to build to the Universal title match, which also takes place at Clash of Champions with Rollins defending. It didn't work because nobody gave a shit. Here's the thing. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody will give a shit about Bobby Roode, about Robert Roode. You have mismanaged and mishandled this guy since his debut on the main roster. Why should I or anybody care about what Bobby Roode does? You should have brought him up as a heel. They brought him up as a babyface. Why? Who the fuck knows? Oh, because people sang his theme. His theme was so catchy that people would cheer, would sing glorious with the. It's like no. Bobby Roode. It's like so fucking what? When Bobby Roode opened his mouth in NXT, he would make everyone who was chanting glorious or that was glorious or glory anything about glorious. They would shut up and they would start booing the guy. Bobby Roode is a natural heel. Yes, in TNA, he had maybe one run when it was with Fortune, when they turned against the Immortal, where he was a good babyface. But Robert Roode, that guy, is a natural-born heel. His best runs in TNA were as a heel. His time in NXT, he was a heel. This guy came up to the main roster, and for a year and a half or 2 was a babyface. They finally dropped the babyface gimmick with the Superstar Shakeup, gave him a porn stash for a bit. That didn't last very long, and he's now Robert Roode. Give this guy the microphone, and he will sell everybody on the fact that you should hate him. The match did nothing for Bobby Roode. Yeah, he got to hit his glorious DDT on, I believe, 2 people to win 2 matches in the tag team turmoil, but honestly, it didn't do anything. Bobby Roode, you can't have somebody like labeled as a nobody pretty much in on main event purgatory or just catering purgatory, and then just all of a sudden. This is like the Jinder Mahal route. Yes, Robert Roode is a much better wrestler than Jinder Mahal, but this is the Jinder Mahal route. Oh, we're gonna have them win. He's a nobody. He loses matches or he's not used at all, and then we're going to have him win a number 1 contenders match, and he's gonna go to the next pay-per-view and win the championship. Yes, they're gonna win the tag team titles because why the hell would Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins keep the titles past Clash of Champions? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So, yes, WWE is literally going the Jinder Mahal route with Bobby Roode, and it's absolutely disgusting. Yes, Bobby Roode. The difference is, yes, Bobby Roode can wrestle. Bobby Roode can talk on the mic, and Bobby Roode is one of the best. He could be one of the best heels on WWE. The guy's like 40, I think 43, 45 years old. He ain't got much time left for wrestling. So WWE, if you're going to use Robert Roode now, you need to use him ASAP, or just end his contract, let him retire, and whatever. I want to see, and that's the thing, I want to see Bobby Roode succeed. And honestly, this is not this is not the way to do it. WWE fucked him over one too many times, and honestly, I don't think anyone's going to care in the end. Oh boy, oh boy. I love The Fiend, you love The Fiend. Vince McMahon does not love The Fiend because Vince McMahon is going to ruin The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. It was noted, the Golden One Center in Sacramento made a tweet this week that said Wyatt would be challenging the winner of the Universal title match at Clash of Champions on September 15th, either Braun or Seth Rollins, and Rollins and Jones will also defend their tag team titles against Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler that night. There has been speculation on the arena making a big deal out of a local advertisement that WWE sent them, but that's not the case. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Wyatt, The Fiend, will be headlining Hell in a Cell against the Universal Champion is the real plan. There's no word yet on if it will be Wyatt versus Strowman or Wyatt versus Rollins, but we will keep you updated. This is a terrible idea. So basically what you're doing is the very first thing that you do is, oh, well, here's a good idea. Bam! We're going to have The Fiend take out Finn Balor. He's going to beat him at SummerSlam. Bam! The Fiend's not going to take place at Clash of Champions, but in the meantime, he's going to take out Jerry Lawler. But then, boom! We're going to have him go to Hell in a Cell, and he's going to lose. The Fiend's not winning in Hell in a Cell. Are you kidding me? Especially if it's Braun Strowman who wins the championship. Why would you have Braun Strowman win the championship only to ultimately lose it to The Fiend? Vince McMahon cannot keep his grubby paws off of anything. The Fiend should not be wrestling for the championship on a B-level pay-per-view, period. The Fiend's going to lose, and then The Fiend's going to be nothing, and WWE's just ruined The Fiend. So enjoy The Fiend while you can, because The Fiend is going to be dead after Hell in a Cell. This better be a fucking rib. This better be a fucking joke. WWE is not going to give The Fiend the championship. The Fiend is going to lose, and that's going to be that. So The Fiend is going to go from the hottest topic in WWE to, hey, look, Bray Wyatt is back to his old self again. He's just losing, and losing. Vince McMahon, you are a worthless asshole piece of shit. No, if Vince McMahon was in front of me on fire, I wouldn't even piss on him. WWE officials have been discussing a new draft concept to build permanent Raw and SmackDown rosters, according to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It was previously reported that there would be no major changes to the roster ahead of SmackDown's Fox premiere on October 4th. Just some minor changes. This new directive was made by Vince McMahon. Meltzer noted that the plans are being kept quiet as USA Network and Fox representatives will be the first to know when the new concept is decided on. There is no concrete word yet on NXT superstars being used on Raw to build their name ahead of the NXT USA premiere on September 18th, which would be an absolute terrible idea. There has been arguments for and against the idea. Some feel that it would give the NXT talent the exposure they need to help build the USA Network launch. But the other argument, and this is the smart one, is that any kind of cross-pollination on Raw would establish the NXT stars as secondary level talents, which you want to fucking avoid. Putting them on Raw, we're going to have, if anybody remembers that back when Charlotte Flair was the women's champion of NXT, I believe this was in 2014, I think it was December 2014, they brought her up for a match with Natalya. The match lasted 2.5, like not even 2 minutes, and Natalya beat Charlotte Flair via a roll-up, I believe. I don't want to see this shit. You would have so you mean to tell me you want to have a Seth Rollins versus a Johnny Gargano and have Seth Rollins just beat Johnny Gargano? Hey, look, this NXT guy got beat by the Universal Champion. No. Leave it the fuck alone. No. Bringing the NXT stars to Raw ahead of the big premiere could also lead to more interference from the vision that NXT higher-ups have. It was described to the Observer that Triple H's dream of creating a legitimate third brand of his own just came true, but now he's faced with the task of playing defense to keep Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn's influences away from NXT, as he fucking should. Bringing those guys up to the main roster again like they did before just to have them, hey, look, this is Johnny Gargano. He's the NXT. This is Adam Cole. He's the NXT champion. Watch him go up against the Universal champion and watch him lose in about 2 minutes. No. You don't have to bring superstars from NXT to the main roster to get people eyes on them. Just have them go out there and just have advertisement. Have your commentators do their damn jobs on Raw and do their damn job on SmackDown to hype these shows up. Tom Phillips and Corey Graves spent weeks, months, and I think a year or so together in NXT calling matches for that brand. Those two especially should be hyping up NXT on a weekly basis. Use your production crew to make video packages for NXT as it builds towards the company, towards its USA Network launch. You don't have to bring a Johnny Gargano, an Adam Cole, a Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, a Shayna Baszler to Monday Night Raw to show them off because, hey, look, these men and women are coming to NXT, or coming to USA Network. That makes them feel like they are less than they are, and I don't want to see that. Don't fucking do that. You're going to hurt NXT more than you're going to help NXT. The only thing that we need to see on September 18th is Triple H's vision of NXT. And I guess another thing Triple H wants to do is bring the NXT UK talent to NXT on the USA Network, which WrestleZone's Harry Kettle was on an NXT UK conference call with Triple H and asked the game what the board looks like for the NXT UK brand as a US brand makes its way to Wednesday nights on the USA Network. Triple H said, and I quote, "I think the letters in the front of it says everything about it. I believe that there is a banner of NXT sort of an oversight of the brand that permeates both of the brands that you see in the USA and the brand that you see in the UK. I think you'll see the resonate in other markets around the world. I'm not saying that others don't bring that, but it's a little bit of a symbol of an in-ring excellence. I think that we'll bring that to the table in a different way. As you see in the USA and the US, NXT making the shift over to the USA Network with a different platform here in the middle of September and moving forward, going to 2 hours, 5 every week. I definitely intend to have the talent from the UK to be a big part of that. I want them to be recognized around the world, not only for the excellence where they are, but they're some of the best in the world regardless where, so they can definitely be a part of that show, as well as that is only to enhance their platform and to recognize globally. You don't really need to do that, but if you want to do that, that's fine. I mean, it's NXT and NXT UK. They're both NXT brands. I don't know how you would do that and make it seem like they actually mean as much, simply for the fact is that NXT is what it is. NXT UK is a lower fourth brand. It's nowhere close to NXT US. It's not. I mean, they just had their takeover Cardiff, which I have not seen yet, and I'm probably going to check that out later today or later tonight or something. But the takeover Blackpool that they had it didn't even feel like a takeover, really. It did not feel like a proper takeover. It just felt like it was their attempt at a takeover, and it just didn't resonate with me. Of course, I'm US based, so it probably wouldn't resonate with me because it's for the UK brand. I know you have Pete Dunne over here, and Rhea Ripley just made her NXT return or debut. I would keep NXT UK, just let them be themselves. Let them do what they're doing in the UK. Yes, it will help expose, I guess, the NXT UK brand, which is on the WWE Network as well. But I tried to get into, I tried to watch NXT UK back when it first started last year. But the fact that they went to 2 episodes a week and it just felt a little bit overwhelming, it's just, I don't know. I really don't know. It's Triple H's call. He has NXT and NXT UK under his wing. If he wants to use both of them, seeing a Rhea Ripley and a Toni Storm, a Primate, a Jordan Devlin, a Kaylee Ray, and so on and so forth on NXT wouldn't be a bad thing, I guess. Just don't make them as prominent on the main NXT, because if they're not going to be factoring into the next takeover, then I don't want to see them getting up so much of the TV time that we're not going to see what NXT US, the NXT USA base, it should be building towards their takeover, is going to be doing. Enzo Amore and Big Cass were a big talking point a couple days ago. I'm just going to go out there and say this rumor is absolutely false. These guys are not coming back to NXT. But apparently, WWE officials were in talks with the former tag team about a surprise return to the top to be top stars on the black and yellow brand. There's no word yet, and if Enzo and Cass have accepted the offer, but there have been talks. They recently returned to the mid-indie scene as Enzo, and Cass XL. Obviously, speculation would have them return for the September 18th USA Network premiere, but the observers speculated that Vince could save them for Week 3, which would be head-to-head with AEW's TNT premiere on October 2nd. Here's the thing, and I've never been a fan of Enzo and Cass. I did not like their gimmick in NXT. That gave us Carmella, by the way. Enzo was the entire act. His entire spiel that they did before the entire match was the entire fucking act. These guys had no business being on main roster TV. These guys had no business being on NXT TV. They are not worth WWE's time. And yes, Dave Meltzer has come out and said that WWE has no interest at this time for them. He was the first one to report this, of course. And then he had to come out and say, yeah, well, my sources have told me that they're not interested in Enzo and Cass. And if I was WWE, why would you want to? And I'm not talking about the fact that Enzo's sexual assault accusations last year. That's in the past. Of course, they was dropped. I'm just talking about the fact that these guys, I never, ever, ever saw these guys as being anything but a novelty act. Enzo and Cass, yeah, they might have had their fans, they might have had their crowd, but they just were nothing, in my opinion. Nothing. Enzo and Cass can stay away from WWE. WWE does not need Enzo and Cass. They won a great tag team, and Enzo can't fucking wrestle for the life of him as it is. Cass has his attitude problems. I don't see these guys ever, I can't ever say, you can never say that, you can never say any, it's like, you can never say I can never see them returning to WWE, because if the price is right and Vince McMahon sees money in the act of anybody, they will return. There's people putting videos out. There were people putting videos out of like Jon Moxley. Oh, Jon Moxley will never be in WWE again because of what he went when he went to AEW. Are you kidding me? If Jon Moxley got released by AEW tomorrow and crawled up to got a call from Stamford, Connecticut, or called up Stamford, Connecticut, he would be back in. Dean Ambrose would be back in WWE by Survivor Series or by Hell in a Cell. Plain and simple. Anybody who thinks otherwise, you're fucking stupid. Just anybody who people just gotta realize that WWE, that's how it works. If Cody Rhodes and if AEW goes belly up for whatever reason, and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks go to Stamford, Connecticut, and knock on their door, they would all be signed up like that, because Vince McMahon sees money in you. He's gonna want to work with you. It's that easy. People don't fucking seem to realize that, but people are fucking stupid. Enzo and Cass brought nothing to the tag team division. They brought nothing to NXT. They brought nothing to the main roster. Breaking them up, if I have to say one thing that was a massive mistake by WWE if they wanted to keep them around, Enzo and Cass breaking up was probably one of the worst decisions WWE ever did for the group. Because quite honestly, once you broke them up, they floundered immediately. Enzo, of course, yes, became a 2-time or 3-time or whatever it was cruiserweight champion, but that 205 Live was dead before he came. Enzo and Cass, please stay away from WWE. Don't ever come back, because honestly, as I said, they brought nothing. They were nothing in the beginning, and they were nothing afterwards. This is just me being truthful, and I saw nothing good in Enzo and Cass. Enzo, Only thing he has, yes, he's good on the mic, but he decides to talk like shit on the mic as well. Cass can't wrestle, and yes, I know he decided he wanted to do something that was dumb when the whole last year it was him going up against Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan could not get good matches out of him, and he could not get over against Daniel Bryan. That just shows you right there that this guy can't hack it in WWE. Then, of course, if you remember back at the G1 Supercard in WrestleMania weekend, they showed up at Ring of Honor in New Japan's show, had a angle that went absolutely nowhere. They are not worth anyone's time, in my opinion. If some indie promotion wants to use them because they're former WWE stars, that's fine, whatever. But Enzo and Cass, that is not needed in WWE, period. I can't stand them, and quite honestly, if anyone thinks that NXT needs Enzo and Cass to make it on USA Network, then you need to stop watching the product. Plain and simple. Enzo was on, talked about if he would ever go back to WWE. Despite reports this week that Enzo and Cass are in talks to return to NXT full-time, Enzo told Malinowski that a return to WWE at least the main roster isn't something he sees happening in the near future. Omori feels grounded where he is currently, and he can't picture himself keeping up with the demanding WWE schedule. I cannot see myself working a schedule like that anytime soon. I mean, you just never say never with anything, so I just know that absent makes the heart grow fonder. No, Enzo, no. Nobody is fond of you. All is forgiven in time, I find that, and that goes on both sides of the coin because I worked for the company where at one point I got fired and was upset. In that moment, I'm so angered. But then you look at it and you understand the significance of the timing of the situation, and you have time to let that burn off. I don't hold any grudges. Do I want to go back there? Absolutely. Not right now. I'm enjoying so much of what I am doing so quickly, of being in these locker rooms and meeting these guys, that I can't imagine going back to a world where I'm on the road 300 days over 250 to 280 matches a year, where you do nothing but suck like you always do. Again, Enzo and Cass, you can go work the indies, go be All Elite, go to Impact Wrestling, go to Ring of Honor, stay out of WWE. In my opinion, just retire. Go back to your rapping career, and Cass, do whatever the fuck you want to do outside of WWE. I don't care about Enzo and Cass. And quite honestly, there is nothing WWE or even AEW could probably do to make me care about Enzo and Cass. Let's see here. I think we're all done everything except for AEW news. Tony Schiavone says he is not on AEW's commentary team. He's on the heels of his new multi-year contract with AEW. Tony Schiavone spoke with Wrestling Epicenter.com about the future holds in his new position. Tony is still in AEW is still in awe that AEW is going to be premiering on TNT, as he remembers how tumultuous things were when WCW was falling apart while under Turner Broadcasting. I had a very bad feeling about the Turner people when I left. The good news is, the Turner people that I didn't have a good feeling about are no longer around. I'm talking about the people that ran WCW. Basically, I never thought I would do it again. I never thought wrestling would be back on TNT again. I mean, yeah, I don't think any of us coming into this year thought TNT would ever have wrestling again. Because they were very against wrestling. I guess under Brad Siegel and James Kellner, I don't know the history, they didn't want wrestling on their network anymore. Brad Siegel was the guy who canceled WCW Monday Nitro and Thursday Night Thunder, and WCW Thunder, and killed WCW and Eric Bischoff's plans of buying WCW from TNT, from Turner. When I walked away from Panama City that night, the final WCW Nitro, I thought I was done with the wrestling business. I'm like, James, I like to move on with my life. I'm not good at staying in touch with people. That is my fault. Thank goodness for guys like Arn Anderson and Jim Ross, guys that are my friends in the business. Schiavone revealed that he will be acting as a producer for AEW going forward. He noted that his focus will mostly be on the videos seen throughout the show, and specifically pointed out that he has no intentions of being part of the broadcast team the company has already established. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm a producer, Tony said. I'm going to be working on a lot of videos you see in the shows. I'm going to be working behind the scenes when the live shows are going, the TNT shows. I met with Tony Khan. I met with obviously Cody. We do some production here in Atlanta. Cody and I actually live pretty close to each other, so when I talked to Tony Khan, the idea was that I would do control center and on-camera stuff, but I would not be on the broadcast team because this broadcast team was in place. Well, of course, the broadcast team was changed from Alex Marvez to Golden Boy, which we saw last night on All Out, which was absolutely so much better than Marvez. Marvez, of course, was relegated to the short post-game show that they did with Chris Jericho celebrating winning the world title and Adam Hangman Page's reaction to losing to Chris Jericho. Giovanni praised the broadcast team for the talent and experience they bring to the craft. He is definitely going to be involved in the production of each AEW on TV episode. However, more specific details are still being determined by Tony Khan and the other AEW EVPs. I am not looking to shoehorn anyone out of the broadcast team. I'm not, Tony emphasized. Excalibur is a great guy. I know Alex Marvez, gosh, is a very talented guy, but I know that Jim Ross has always wanted me with him. I know that. He pushed for that. So I told Tony, I really want to work for you, but I don't want to be the guy who's seen as trying to shoehorn his way into the broadcast team. I don't know what has happened since Tony and I had talked last. I just don't know I'm going to be part of the show in some capacity. I didn't expect that, and I don't expect right now to be part of the broadcast team. There's not been any official announcement that has been made about that, but I'm going to have to my hand in the broadcast in some way. Now, what they can have is maybe they have some kind of if Tony Schiavone is going to probably be if you're thinking sports, he's going to be the sub. If somebody gets sick or somebody gets if an angle goes bad or something, or somebody gets injured or is out for a week or so, Tony Schiavone will be able to be there to replace them for that. You got to have some people on the sidelines just in case, a Golden Boy, a Jim Ross or an Excalibur goes down or has to miss a week. Tony Schiavone can be there for that week. So he's not going to be full-time or on a regular basis at all on the commentary team, but I would not be surprised if once in the next year or so we hear Tony Schiavone behind the commentary booth because JR is sick or Golden Boy sick or Alex Marvez is sick or Excalibur is sick or something happens and maybe there's a death in the family of one of those guys and Tony Schiavone is there to help out. It'll be a 1 week thing, but Tony Schiavone is going to be there. Yes, he's going to be backstage and behind the scenes, but it would not surprise me to hear Tony Schiavone call at least one episode or two of AEW on TNT in the next year. And some sad news before we end this episode. Kylie Ray has been released by AEW. During the post-all-out media scrum, President Tony Khan was asked about the status of Kylie Ray. Ray has been out of action since her loss in the Fatal 4-Way match against Nyla Rose, Awesome Kong, and Britt Baker at Double or Nothing. Khan confirmed Ray asked for her to be released from her contract, and it was granted. He also noted that there was no hard feelings, according to Megan O'Keefe, who was backstage at All Out. In July, it was reported that Ray was out due to medical issues, and it has been hoped she would return soon. Earlier this month, Kylie Ray's Twitter account was deleted. I do not know what exactly is going on with Kylie Ray. It absolutely is a damn shame to see somebody who had so much talent asking for her release. I'm sure she'll come out with a statement eventually, letting us all know what's going on and why she's leaving AEW. And it sucks because I think she had the potential of being a great fit for the women's division. I hope everything with Kylie Ray is good and will be better as the weeks and months go on. I'm sure more will come out of this eventually. But Kylie Ray, no longer part of AEW. It sucks to see somebody with so much talent asking for the release. I hope whatever happens to her, if she's still wrestling somewhere else, maybe she didn't want to be maybe she couldn't, like, maybe like just something in her mentally wasn't able to handle being on the big stage. I don't know. I don't know Kylie Rae personally. I'm hoping everything is good for her, and health over wealth pretty much is what it should be every single day. But that is your unscripted episode number 84 for your Sunday, September 1st, 2019. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Follow me on Twitter and twitch.tv/TheFranceClub, and I will see you guys tomorrow for Monday Night Raw as the King of the Ring quarterfinals get underway, as we will see who will be in the semifinals next week. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.